to order. Please stand with us. We'll be led in prayer by Alderman Gallagher. Please remain standing. After that, I pledge of allegiance that will be led by Alderman.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we come before you and we thank you for this new year that we're entering in. Lord, we want to pray for our country and our citizens, Lord Jesus, that are going through this tough time with COVID, Lord. So many people have lost family members and loved ones, Lord. We pray for those families, Lord. And we ask you to be here and be part of our meeting, Lord. We ask you to lead us and guide us and direct us in the way that we should go. These things we ask in Christ's name.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, next on the agenda this evening is the approval of minutes for the December 15 meeting.
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Hoops, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. The motion carries. Next on the agenda is the COVID-19 leave policy. Mr. Chris Wilson will help us with the details.
This is fairly simple, straightforward. The CARES Act, COVID Relief Fund Act ended December 31st. Congress did not extend the opportunity to pay leave for those affected by COVID. They did extend the voluntary program for qualifying employers to offer paid leave through March 31st. Met with the mayor about it, discussed it. We currently have 22 employees out on COVID-related leave now that either we would have to begin the paperwork process of converting them to regular paid leave through FMLA, or have y'all extend the paid leave for COVID March. And follow the same guidelines as the law set forward for last year. The law that expired December 31st through March 31st.
The thought process that Chris and I had is, we want to continue to be as safe as we can, keep people safe as much as possible, minimize the risk of COVID. And, we're going to ask them to quarantine, to stay home, and be cautious that it's, in my mind, it's unfair to ask them to do that and then expect them to use their personal time. So if we're going to continue to have the quarantine measures, the safety measures in place that the CDC recommends, then it would be my recommendation that we extend this COVID-19.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion?
One more thing, so we make that retro to 1/1. So continuation of Jones caught in that gap from 1/1.
Okay, that adjustment made your motion. Yes, sir. Second, too. Okay. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries, and Chris will help us with this too. The next on the agenda is the FY21 budget amendment. And just to preface it, I want to make sure that there's no misunderstanding about this. This was brought to my attention about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago. We've had a little bit of difficulty with our laborers in our Parks Department, our Public Works Department. This was not initiated with Public Works. It was initiated by some challenges that we've had in our Parks Department with our laborers leaving and going to some other jobs. Right now, as y'all know, with COVID, there's some strange things going on in the employment world. So there's some opportunities that have come up, and we've lost some people. And so the bottom line is we're kind of struggling right now, to find and to keep quality laborers. And these are our frontline laborers. And so that recommendation was made to raise the pay $1 an hour. When that suggestion was made to me, as I always do, I asked, what's the net budget chance that can affect our budget? Both departments felt like that that they could sacrifice a few expenditures that they need, but just bump them back 1 year in order to get this pay adjustment, because it's such it's an urgent issue, that we're able to get our laborers and to have a recruiting, to be competitive recruiting. The other thing with that is when we've tried really hard, this board, y'all done a great job, supported the fact that we try to keep parity. Like if you have one job doing basically the same type work in one department, we want to make sure that the pay's the same. You don't want someone doing the same work in one department and getting paid less or more than the other. And so that's why Public Works got brought into this discussion. It started with Wes and I, knowing the challenges that we have in parks, and then we brought Bradley in it because we want to keep parity, with our labor position. So that's all it is. I mean, on the all we're doing is changing lines. It has a neutral effect, correct? So it's a neutral. It's budget neutral, but we're just moving money in the departments to payroll instead of some things that we can bump back, some minor issues, and so that's what the recommendation is.
The amendment is only in Public Works, and Parks will absorb the increases within their payroll as is, so there's no net effect in the other departments. Bradley, Public Works presented a $21,000 impact for his 8 employees to go that $1 an hour. And it's presented deducting 12,000 for materials, 9 for utilities, and that 21 goes to payroll. Zero impact to the budget for either department.
Mr. Mayor, I make the motion to approve the budget amendment as presented.
Second. Okay, we have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion?
The personnel docket tonight does include those changes. So if you scroll down, you'll see those effective. But it's based on labor.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. And next on our agenda is the bid award for the main Boulevard Pedestrian Bridge. We talked about this extensively. The bid was opened back in December, on December 15th. And we have Mr. Brian Bullard with us with Urban Art. If there's any questions, Brian's going to come up. But the bids, as y'all know, we've had a lot of discussion about how much these would be. A lot of moving parts with COVID and the supply chain, the effects on that. So we were starting to get fearful, about what this cost may be. So actually the bids that we got a good bid. We were expecting initially pre-COVID between 1.6, 1.6 to 1.9, not knowing for sure. And then even with all the challenges with COVID, we have a local bidder, Murphy & Sons, that came in at $1,998,158. So we believe it's a good bid, and it's my recommendation that we accept the bid and get moving. But we'll open up the floor for discussion. Brian, or me, or
Brian, you get the project manager?
Yeah, I have a project manager named Will Seelock, but I'm definitely going to be there. Mark will be project managing for the construction administration. Murphy & Sons being a local contractor that we're very familiar with. We've completed multiple projects with them over the years, including multiple projects for the City of Southaven. We have a high level of trust that they'll get to pull this off.
Can you tell us again what project timeframe this will be completed will be?
We have stated there's an 8-month period of time to get this project constructed. So 240 calendar days, and I think there may be a 30-day between substantial completion and final completion. It should be around 8 to 9 months. We hope sooner, but there's a supply chain issues right now due to, as the mayor said, that COVID has had impacts on construction as well. But the contractor is suggesting, hey, look, that's a pretty good calendar, schedule for us considering what all's going on.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve Murphy & Sons, the low bidder for the Boulevard Bridge, about $1,998,158 as presented in this date.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any other discussion?
Are we going to go ahead and add the lights now, or are they going to be the stop lights?
It's part of the project.
Yeah, they're in the bid.
Any other discussion?
Motion to sign all the mayor. Yeah, and it's exactly what I said.
Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Yes.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
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 That motion carries. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, next on the agenda is authorization to seek bids for fire station number 5. As y'all know, we've been busy in 20 getting ready for this, just urban art. Spent a lot of time, designing the bridge. The same thing with our fire department, with our fire chief, fire department, and A2H. And so we are now ready. So this is a big deal. Fire station number 5 is a huge deal for our city, and we're ready to get authorization to seek bids and build this thing.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution of the mayor and the board of Southaven. Sorry, for declaration of, I don't know, wrong one,
Go out and see bids.
going out and see, for the fire station number 5.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a resolution for ratification of emergency utilities department repairs. Mr. Nick Manley.
This is just a resolution to ratify repairs had to be done at the water wells at Airways Road and Whitworth Road in the amount of one was $15,575, one was $66,084. But those need to be done for the drinking water and health and safety of the city residents. So tonight, authorization to approve the resolution ratification in accordance with 31.713K.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Hoots. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next, we have a lease with Flynn Broadcasting for the Brookhaven property radio tower.
We discussed this previously. This lease is for that Brookhaven radio tower, the radio tower at the Brookhaven property owned by the city. The lease was, rent was was $200 a month previously. Now it's going to be $250 a month. But Lynn has requested that we have a 5-year lease with 2 5-year renewals. Obviously, it doesn't bind the future forward, but it does make more sense to do it that way with the lease, with the amount of time radio tower has already been there. So tonight, it's the authorization for the mayor to sign this radio tower land lease for the Brookhaven water tower, Brookhaven radio tower, and authorize them to continue to lease there and get this back under contract.
So moved.
We have a motion by Alderman Hoots, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is a contract with PBJ Happy Day Shows.
Yeah, this is the agreement with PBJ Happy Day Show that helps with our Spring Fest carnival aspect, the rides and the games. The contract sets forth that they'll perform that task and in exchange be 35% of the revenues from that, along with a percentage for the games. There is a clause in there that has a force majeure clause in the event that we do have to cancel again for COVID. We also have a cancellation termination in this contract as well, but this is the company we've used in the past. They work well with Christie, in my understanding, and it's similar to previous agreements that we've done in the past with them. So my authorization for the mayor to sign the agreement with PBJ Happy Day 17.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Next on the agenda is a bid award for the Parks Department point of sale system.
This previously went to bid for the point of sale system for parks. We went through simple bidding. The low bid was, and low and only bid was Hospitality Solutions. They'll will work with Wes and our clerk's office with the point of sale system. There is a contract that I reviewed. They've made those revisions to the contract. So the authorization tonight is to authorize the bid award to Hospitality Solutions and allow Wes Brown to sign the contract with them and complete the contract documents along with approving the initial invoice for the setup, which I'm drawing up. The initial invoice was $96,000. With our finding that Hospitality Solutions will perform that task, we have to pay in advance because they're having to order stuff in advance for us. So authorization to pay the invoice in advance due to their integrity and character of performing the service beforehand and awarding the bid and authorizing Wes to sign the contract with Hospitality Solutions. If you have any questions, either Wes or I can answer those as well.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our planning agenda. Wendy Cook.
Yes, sir. Our first application, if you will remember, 2 board meetings ago, we approved a conditional use permit for a car wash. It's going to be located on the north side of Goodman Road, just east of Greenwood Parkway. What you have in your elevation package tonight was a compromise from the applicant to planning commission that were tabled. The first hearing with some very loud colors that were not agreed upon. They did come back. I don't see the elevation up there, but the elevation that you should be looking at is a earth tone set of colors that was agreed upon by the planning commission. It was voted 7-1 in favor of with this design.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve item number 1 on the agenda.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Hoots on item 1. Is there any discussion?
Just curious, Whitney, why did the city vote?
The original one that came in had stark white tile on the front, and it was white and gray brick on the back. There was a lot of lime green and a lot of royal blue. It was very loud. The buildings next to it were more earth tone, more subdued colors, so we asked them to conform with that. They came back a couple of different times with some different ones throughout the next month. This is what everybody landed on. They took the royal blue to a navy blue. They removed the green with the exception where it's over the canopies with the vacuum stations. And then they changed their entire exterior to earth tones for us.
Any other discussion? Does look good. Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries on item 1.
Our second application, Wholesale Nutrition is planning on moving to their own tenant space, their own building. It's going to be located right next to ATC Fitness on the north side of Goodman Road between Gatwell and Tullahoma. The elevations that you'll see in your package there have a proposed design for it. We made some minor adjustments to the wainscot at the bottom of it and some decorative lighting in it. But it was a very good layout, very good site plan, and they were voted unanimously in favor of with their submitted documents.
Where's that?
It's going to be right next to ATC Fitness. There's a vacant lot. They're going to occupy the 10,000 square foot building. We'll have a drive-through around the back to get the smoothies and the compounds and things. Should be great right there.
May I make a motion to approve item number 2 on the agenda? Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Kelly. Is there any discussion? Yeah, it looks really nice. Good job. Should be a good location for them. That's really good. Okay, any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Motion carries on item 2.
Item number 3 is a subdivision application from Silo Square Holdings. As you've seen throughout the process of them developing this, they've kind of been going lot by lot when they know they have a tenant or when they're ready to build on that lot. This is for lot 21. It's approximately 0.638 acres. This is going to be right on the roundabout on the south side of May Boulevard. You'll have the 3-story building closest up to Getwell, 2 2-story buildings that are already constructed. This will be the next lot, which will take you into the roundabout. No tenants as of now, no design for the building. I should have that back in front of you as soon as I get it. But it does comply with the overall master plan that you see right there. And it does comply with subdivision regulations. It was voted unanimously in favor of by the Planning Commission.
Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation that we approve item number 3 on the agenda as consent agenda.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Brooks. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 That motion carries on to item 3.
Item number 4 is an application for subdivision approval for Cherry Tree South Phase 3D. Being on Star Landing at Gatwell Road. This portion is 5.03 acres, 2 lots and 2 house products on it. It's on the interior of the mainly built out sections of Cherry Tree. It does comply with the master plan as shown there. It is approved, the street name is already there because those are existing stub outs from the other portions of the development. It does comply with the minimum lot sizes and the heated square footages, so it was voted unanimously in favor of the Planning Commission.
Mr. Mayor, I make a recommendation that we approve item number 4 on the planning agenda as presented tonight. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Flores, second by Alderman Wheeler. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
That motion carries.
Our final application is the first phase of the Pinewood subdivision. This is going to be that portion of vacant property on the south side of State Line Road between Gatwell and Tullahoma. If you'll remember back, it was attempted to go through approvals, planned business park, a couple of times. We finally settled on it being single-family residential for the majority. It was heavily discussed on the minimum square footages, and it was landed on 1,800 square foot for the minimum. All that was agreed upon. This is the first phase. That's the master plan as a whole that was purchased by the single-family residential developers. The portion that's here tonight is 60 residential lots, 4 common open spaces, and approximately 21 acres of property. The only comments coming from the Planning Commission, which the developer did agree upon, was that they add some carriage load options, so you don't have all front load garages. There's more diversity if you put more plans in there. They did agree upon that. And the removal of what's called the Ash 3 plan, which total the square footage of 1632, needed to meet that 1,800 heated square footage to meet the PUD text. They agreed to that as well. Once those were discussed and approved on, then the Planning Commission voted unanimously in favor of it.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve item number 5 on the agenda. Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Wheeler, second by Alderman Flores. You did say that minimum square footage minimum is 1,800?
1,800.
Yeah, I just, I do have some concerns when we had the Pinewood Industrial Development that was declined a few years ago. That was one of the things that we had concerns about is, you know, if you bring on residential right there. So what is the rest of the area look like? I mean, how many homes?
They have purchased all of that south of the TVA lines. The plan in talking to the original developer is north of those power lines really doesn't have a big purpose, but what he plans on doing there, if anything, is 3/4 of an acre to an acre lot to match up to Valley Grove. This south side right here is around 300 homes. It has a 9-acre park in it. It has walking trails that connect with the TVA lines. And then you have office along Getwell Road with a small section of commercial, and you have a small section of commercial on the Tullahoma side. When we went over to heated square footages, Ansley Park and Summit Point, or Rutland Point, which are to the south of it, had the 1,600 square foot minimums. And then we had Summerwood, which kind of varied on their square footages, large lots, not such huge houses, and then you had the large lots to the north. So we met with the neighbors a lot, had several discussions with them. The final settlement was 1,800, at least for this portion. But like I said, in talking to the developer, one of the things he wouldn't want to do is carry this over to the north side of the TVA lines, which is the other portion of the single-family residential. If he does anything at all with it, he says he will carry it into 3/4 lots or acre lots just to match up with Valley Grove.
Okay, so there is going to be a natural buffer from the homes at Valley Grove north of state line. What will be on the, will the streets open up to state line? Are they going to?
Right now, nothing. The only thing that this is the master plan for all the single-family residential that's been bought. So if you see that line that's going diagonal right there, that's the TVA line that actually splits that property in half. So everything to the north side, that white triangle on the north end of it, that's all woods remaining as is. Nobody's purchased that. There's no development plan on it. The buyer of the property that wanted to do the single-family residential 1800 only saw profit in doing this south end. So Mr. Funderburk, who owns the original development, still owns that portion to the north. So as of now, there will be no change for the Valley Grove area.
Did you hear from any Valley Grove residents?
I sent it out knowing how controversial it had been. We had set up a group email with all of the homeowner associations to all those subdivisions and then other concerned citizens that have been coming to our meetings. I sent this master plan out to them prior to even getting it in hand because I knew they were going to do some tree removal and I wanted to let them know what was going on. Submitted this over to them. The only comment I got back was we did maintain the 1,800 square foot minimum, and I confirmed with them yes. They did not attend the meeting at the Planning Commission, and to my knowledge, they're not here tonight, so we didn't hear anything negative.
Okay.
But you said just one exit on each side?
Well, you'll have stub outs that will carry into remainder of the developments, and you've got 2 stub outs that go into the existing stub outs of Ansley Park and Rutland Point. If you look on that south end, there's 2 roads that connect there, so you'll have 4 access points at this time. But if we can scroll down, can we go down one more? This is all you're approving tonight. It's just the main entrance off of Getwell, which has a boulevard entrance. It's got decorative stone and landscaping. And if you'll see those large lots right there at the front, we asked them to remove 6 lots right there because there's some beautiful tree lines right there that we want to keep as a natural entrance. They did agree to that. And then you have obviously the common open space right there in the center. So this is all we're asking for approval to tonight.
Any other discussion?
Which one's lot 7? The one as you go into the interior, that's probably going to be your detention area.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Have a lot of this.
Yes, the Chancery's office makes us identify common open spaces and detentions now as lots.
Any other discussion on 5? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Okay, that motion carries. Next on the agenda is mayor's report. I'm going to try to move fast. Got several things to talk about tonight. The first thing is the COVID-19 vaccination schedule is in place in DeSoto County. The vaccinations are being administered at the DeSoto County Health Department in Hernando. They posted on the State Health Department's website a chart that shows a proposed timeline. We're currently in phase 1, which is for medical professionals and also our first responders. We have several people that work in the city, our first responders, that have been vaccinated for the first time. So that's underway. And then if you look down the chart, it is subject to change. We all know one thing with COVID-19. It's the first time that our world has been through this, so you can expect changes. But let's refer people to the health department's website for any adjustments that they make. But the bottom line is going in phases. Phase 2 or phase 1B, excuse me, is projected to be from mid to the end of January, and that will go out to other first responders and also persons over the age of 75 years old. Then when you get into February, you get into other workers and also people over the age of 65. And then when you get into March, you're getting into other persons in correctional facilities, other high-risk type situations, and then that leads me to believe the conclusion that after March it's going to be available for anybody. So I think we should all expect the timelines are not going to go as smoothly as planned, but hopefully as soon as possible everybody will get the opportunity to have the vaccination. There's been lots of discussion. Chief Scallions did some research for me today. I had some questions this morning. You hear in the media that the Moderna vaccination only requires one application. And so we found out today that that may not necessarily be true. What we've been told at this point is that both the Pfizer and Moderna both require 2 applications. One of them is 21 days apart, the other is 28 days apart. So that's some misleading information that's been floating around, imagine that. But anyway, it's my understanding also the ones that we have firsthand experience on that have had the first application, the first inoculation, they give a card, an ID card that tells you, when you should come back the second time. Then you make contact with the health department, schedule the next trip down, and then you get your second inoculation at that time. So the exciting thing is we have a real plan. I don't know how fast it's going to go, but at least there is hope that this nightmare is going to come to an end. And so it's great that we have a plan, that we see it in action in DeSoto County. Next thing I want to move on to is we've made it a priority in our city to correct some of the problems of the past years ago, and we have some incredible personnel in our finance department, administration, and we've been given the Government Finance Officers Award for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 5th year in a row. And I know that some people may say accounting is boring, but let me explain to you, accounting is essential in our financial reporting and our transparency. That means everything to this city, especially some of the things that have happened in the past. And it's something I'm extremely proud of. We've taken a lot of steps, not just with financial reporting, to improve transparency. I believe that we're one of the most transparent governments that's ever operated. I've tried to do my part in that in so many different ways, but none of it is any more important than your financial reporting. So it's such an incredible thing. Only 5% of governmental entities in the United States and Canada get this award. So there's over 89,000 counties, cities, total governmental entities in the United States and Canada, and only 5% get this award. We've gotten 5 times in a row, 5 years in a row. So I just want to explain the magnitude of that. It's just a tremendously positive thing for us, and got to acknowledge, our department. Edie McElwain is our finance director. She does an incredible job. Her and Tish Cox, our comptroller, they bury themselves at their desk in the corner. I never see them. I'll go months without even seeing them. I don't even know they work here anymore. But they're steadily, got their nose down, doing their job, something that's so crucial for us. So we appreciate that. Chris Wilson plays a big part of this too. He is their supervisor. He's our chief administrative officer. So Chris and Tish and Edie, I just want to thank them for an incredible job. This is a big deal for our city. Another thing, just to give you an update, you don't hear me talk about our animal shelter much. Why would the mayor want to talk about the animal shelter? That seems like it's a minor part of our operation, but I want to bring. I got a report today. Perry Mason is our animal control director. He works underneath Bradley Wallace in Public Works, but they do an incredible job. And when I tell you, Perry Mason has been under the attack by some people on social media. Don't we love social media? Isn't it just a misinformation highway? I read this, and there was a post that was put out back in November, and just for everybody watching, I read your post. It's the most untrue thing that I've ever heard in our city. So I'm here tonight to defend Perry Mason. Perry Mason does an incredible job for our city. That one situation was one of those, like so many on Facebook. They want to put a little piece of partial information and leave out some real key, relevant facts, and not trying to show anybody up. But if you don't miss your animal for 17 days, you're not a very good pet owner. Okay, and so you can't blame Perry Mason in the city when they find a new home for an animal that goes to a sweet little family, young kids that love the animal. The animal was taken care of. It was adopted by a family before Christmas. And so Perry Mason did his job and did it in an outstanding way. So I want to share some other statistics this year. There's a ton of them, but I'm going to make it real quick. There's 2 key ones that jumped out at me today when I was reading this. It says so much about the job Perry does and what we do for our citizens and trying to value that relationship with pets. That's so important. But in pets in 2020 that were returned to their owner, you know, we got the animal and we were able to locate the owner, get the pet back to the owner. There was 235 of those, and in 2019 it was 199. So we returned many more. Animals that unfortunately had to be put down in 2020 were 80 compared to 141 in 2019. So again, more animals that were saved and returned to a home. So what that amounts to, this sounds bad, I prefer not to say the rate that they're put down. I prefer to say the rate of survival for every animal that we're called out to save. We save 91% of those animals. And I know you hear things, and it's not to make light of any humane society or anybody else that, you know, that's upset with the loss of one animal, because it is tragic for one animal to not be able to be put back in a home. But 91% of the animals we touch go back to either their existing home or to a new home. So basically 9 out of 10 animals that we come into contact with, we find them a home. We either put them back, we find their owner, put them back in the home, or we find them a new home. So I just think it's an incredible job, and I would ask everyone to join me in just a quick round of applause. Okay, and then moving on, hang with me, I'm trying to move fast. Okay, last thing is if we can put up the year in review. I'm going to go over, and this is lengthy, but I'm going to move really fast. I want to talk about it just a little bit, but I promise I'll go fast. But everybody, it's up on all the screens if you want to follow along with me. And the reason I like to do this, every year I do this, and the reason I've noticed in my own personal life and in my business life, a lot of times, you know, we get so strung out in different ways, we're pulled in so many directions, that sometimes it's important just to stop for a minute and look in the rearview mirror and see where you've been, see how you did, so you can evaluate, you know, was it time well spent? Did you spend the year in the right way? You know, what changes do we need to make at the beginning of a new year? So that's the purpose of this. And when you look at it, I don't have to tell everyone, we've all been through one of the craziest years in our lifetime. Nobody has seen a year like this, and we've been through so many bad, tragic things and things that we don't want to, you know, talk about too much. So tonight, I just want to talk about some of the positive things. So with all of our personnel that work for the city, this board, all the efforts that we've done to try to navigate through the COVID pandemic, we're able to accomplish all these things that are on this list. So if you'll follow along with me, I'm going to move kind of fast. Public safety, no doubt, is our #1 priority. And public safety in 2020, we got fire station number 5 design that's been pending for about 12 years, I think. So that was designed. Fire hydrant expansion, y'all know this project's been going on for about 4 years now. We just completed the 5th. We got 5 of 6 phases completed. And again, that's to bring the proper water lines to give the same fire protection to our hydrants and our annexed areas. How many years we talk about police body cameras? Hey, it's a real deal. Chief Moore updated me today. We're using them right now. They're working. We saw there were 7 complaints against our officers that have already been resolved real simply from a desktop. Just pointing out, hey, here it is, here's what was said. And so it goes so much to, you know, the integrity of our operation and protecting our officers too, so it's outstanding. Our police officer vacancies, for about 4 years in a row, we had vacant positions, and we know that it is a fact that it's more challenging to hire police officers in today's world. But I commend Chief Moore and our police department for the first year in about 4 years. We're 100%, we filled all the vacant spots. And as y'all know, in the new budget we did, since we filled those, we allowed 6 more spots in the current year's budget with a plan to expand. And we're not going to get into the numbers, but we have an aggressive plan to add many more officers over the next 3 years. Then you move into infrastructure improvement. This board, y'all been incredible. We've all realized that there's ground that had to be made up from being behind on some issues in the past. Street resurfacing. When I took over as mayor and some of the people around me, there was about $500,000 that was spent on a routine year on just the street resurfacing. It was part of a larger budget item, but about $500,000 was spent a year. We spent $2.5 million in the spring of 2020, and we spent another $3 million. So we spent about $5.5 million. There's 2 streets that had to be reclaimed that are not on there, but basically, about $5.5 million was spent to resurface streets in 2020. And that $3 million is a part of FY21, so that will delay the budget, the streets on the next budget year some. But anyway, incredible accomplishment. Drainage improvement, $500K. State Line Road was resurfaced. Snowden Grove Pedestrian project was planned for 4 years. It's complete. I challenge anyone to go look at the number of people that are using that, the number of dogs, pets, the people walking. It's just incredible. Central Snowden Grove Parks multi-use trail. That's a 9-year project that's now under construction. Main Street Pedestrian, about 6 or 7 year project that's under construction. May Boulevard Pedestrian Bridge, you approved the bid tonight. Be done. People will be walking on that bridge in 2021. Yellow Road Widening Project is our #1 expansion project. It's been designed in 20, ready for construction this year. Hornet Creek Bridge project is underway. Big step, automated meter reader water system. For years, the city's been studying that. We made it happen this year. It's being implemented now. It saves about $219,000 in cost, and it also saves the opportunity cost of about $543,000. So it's a net turnaround for the city of about $762,000 a year. It's an incredible move by the city. Revitalization and beautification. This building is renovated. Many people talk about how beautiful it is. Urban Art designed this building. They're still with us. Incredible job here. It's great for our city and our image. It's much safer. We got rid of mold issues and so many other problems. It's incredible. Monument signs are beautiful. The one at Malone and Goodman was completed this year, working on the state line. Got one now. Greenbrook Parkway Median Landscaping was replanted to beautify one of our original neighborhoods. Vintage sign ordinance was passed to give businesses in the original business district a chance to make their sign look better without having to expend a larger amount of money to go back and completely redo the sign. Wildfire replanting an I-55 median. It's going to be beautiful. We've had some challenges, Whitney, haven't we? We've had to replant it a few times, but you'll notice in the spring of 21, it's going to be beautiful. We continue with Bradley. Bradley's been a big asset. We just press to make our right-of-ways look better, picking up trash, cutting grass better. I-55 litter removal. It's totally unsatisfactory with me, the litter that's on the interstate. I've been in touch with Commissioner Caldwell. He's been a great partner. We're trying to get some things done to improve the litter situation on the interstate. Parks expansion and enhancement. In this 1 year, we finished Greenbrook Indoor Softball Facility, Springfest Pavement Project, soccer at Snowden Grove, artificial turf at Snowden Greenbrook Parks, and the park maintenance shop. All that is either done or almost done in 2020. Economic development, goodness. I mean, you find me another city in America that can has a resume like this. We brought the first Google North American Operations Center to Southaven, Mississippi. It's going to be incredible, provide like 100 jobs initially. It's about a $26 million capital investment in our city. Medline Industrial Development started last year, completed this year, $46 million capital investment, 1.4 million square feet, 450 new jobs. Spectre Laboratories is a subsidiary of Fresenius Medical Care. That development is an $81 million capital investment, 211,000 square feet. It'll start off with 304 jobs and be expanded to 600 jobs in 2 years. That finished in 20. They're actually in there now. Don't have to tell you about Silo Square. That is not just a vision. It's underway now. You can ride out there and look at it. There's people living and doing business there now. That's a $200 million project, 228-acre mixed-use development. And then other miscellaneous service, retail, and other businesses in the city. There's 363 other new businesses that opened in 2020. That's up from 251 in 19, and that's a total creation of new jobs of 866. New building permits in 2020 are 474. That's up from 358 in 2019, and 2019 was the highest since 2007. So we continue to break our own records. We did have, in addition, that's 16 commercial permits. All this leads, in conclusion, to our ultimate goal, which is we want to improve our quality of life for our citizens, and we want to make our city and our residents more financially stable. So we have all this in the 8 years here, and in 2020 there have been no property tax millage increases. Our sales tax revenue continues to increase. In 2013, it was $12,499,170. In 2020, even with COVID, a 3-month shutdown in Southaven, we still were at $14,753,171. It's projected to be well over $15 million in 2021. So we continue to have an increase in sales tax revenue. All these things, as y'all know, provide revenue that provides other amenities for our citizens. Helps us meet all the needs of our departments, our fire, police. So all these positive investments that we made in our city are setting us up well to get dividends that will help us with all of our departments in the future. Our unassigned fund balance, the board made a commitment about 5 years ago to maintain at least 12% general fund expenditures. We continue to do that every year, even with all the capital improvements. We'll have, our audit will tell us that exact number, so I don't want to quote numbers that are unaudited. That was at $2.4 million in 2013. It's going to be roughly about, still about $6 million higher than that. I told you about the award for excellence in financial reporting, 5 consecutive years. That's got to give confidence to all of our citizens. And the last thing, which is one of the ultimate goals, I never thought I would say this, after the way property values skyrocketed in the early 2000s before the crash in 2008, the real estate values were unbelievable in the city. And I recognize that there are many factors that go into this. Interest rates, obviously, general economic climate in our country has a lot to do with our housing market. But our property values in the city of Southaven now are higher than they've ever been in the history of the city. We have unprecedented property values, not only the values, the demand for the properties. Like I was listening to a report today that it's estimated that if a home goes on the market in Southaven, Mississippi, it's sold on average within 4 days. I said 4 days. It's unbelievable. It's crazy. And so again, we shouldn't take all the credit for that as a city, because like I said, there's other issues that come into play there. But there's no doubt that the property values and things that we've done, and we continue to follow these priorities. Whoever is in these seats in 2021, if they will continue to follow this, our city will continue to thrive like we are now, and property values will continue to go up. So that's it. 2020 was a great year. I thank my department heads. In December, I thank them again for all their work. I thank all of you for your cooperation and your vision and all that you do to help us move the city forward. 2020 was still an incredible year, even with all the changes. And that's all I have. I told you I'd move fast. Sorry, I know it took a long time. Moving on down the road, next on the agenda is our personnel docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the personnel documents presented with the state.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Brooks, second by Alderman Payne. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is our city attorney's legal update. Nothing. Next on the agenda is a utility bill adjustment docket.
Mr. Mayor, I move we approve the utility bill leak adjustment docket as presented.
Second. We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Gallagher. Is there any discussion? I know Alderman Wheeler is burned on this. If you're good with it, then we should all be good.
That is awesome.
Sir, just tell me, are you good with it? Any other discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is claims docket. We just have one docket tonight.
Mr. Mayor, move we approve the claims docket in the amount of $2,738,821.63, including donations.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Payne, second by Alderman Flores. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes.
That motion carries. Next on the agenda is the purpose of determining the need for executive session.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We have a motion by Alderman Gallagher, second by Alderman Wheeler. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. The need this evening is claims and litigation against the Southaven Police Department, Parks Department, and Public Works. sale of city property, economic development, city leases, and potential litigation involving our utility operations. Is there a motion to declare executive session? Got a motion from Alderman Gallagher, second from Alderman Flores. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion carries. Mayor, we're now in executive session.